Good morning, everyone. Are you enjoying your homemade Sisters special there on your plate? All right. Well, welcome. It is my wonderful honor to introduce the beloved Executive Director, Marc Cote.
As Emma said, I'm Marc Cote, the Executive Director of Parkview Services, and it's such a joy to be here with you today at the Sisters. Thank you for taking the time to gather with us. Thank you to the Sisters for hosting us, and thank you to our sponsors. Chase Bank, First Security Bank, K&L Gates, WSECU, and the Partners Group. Our theme this year is building a future rooted in stability, opportunity, and community. At a time when access to housing and support is increasingly under threat, Parkview remains grounded in one simple truth: everyone deserves a safe place and stable place to call home. Over the past year, we've made important strides towards that vision. We received funding for building 4 detached accessory dwelling units on properties we've stewarded for in Seattle for more than 20 years, and that project is under construction. We purchased 3 homes in Thurston County, expanding into the South Puget Sound and building a strong team to serve our Graham, Gig Harbor, and Olympic area homes. We expanded access to art and connection through the Vibrant Palette Arts Center, now serving nearly 30 artists each week in their own dedicated Georgetown studio. We grew our supported living services program to 15 clients, empowering more adults with IDD to live safely and independently in the community. And we created real pathways to homeownership for low-income families in Washington. This morning, I want to pause and remember Representative Frank Chop, whom we lost this year. Frank was more than a legislator. He was a tireless moral voice for justice. He never stopped fighting for housing, healthcare, and inclusion for Washington's most vulnerable communities. For the IDD community in particular, Frank was a true champion. He led efforts to increase funding for supported living, and community-based services, ensuring that thousands of individuals with IDDs could remain in their homes and neighborhoods rather than institutions. He fought to expand affordable housing options so that people with disabilities could have not just shelter, but dignity and belonging. He also worked to secure higher wages and training for direct support professionals, recognizing that the strength of our care system depends on the people who serve on the front lines every day. And Frank's vision went beyond today's needs. He understood that the injustices of the past still weigh heavily on families and communities. That's why he was a driving force behind the Covenant Homeownership Program, a groundbreaking effort to begin repairing the harm caused by racially restrictive covenants that for generations shut Black, Indigenous, and other families of color out of homeownership. Through his leadership, Washington took a historic step through righting those wrongs and creating real pathways to equity and opportunity. And I want to say that this program was launched in July 2024, and to date, 539 new homeowners have been created through that program. Frank's leadership was never about politics, it was about people. He believed deeply that every Washingtonian Washingtonian deserved opportunity, respect, and the chance to contribute fully to their community. His legacy will continue to guide our work at Parkview, and we remain profoundly grateful for all that he gave in service of that vision. We are also fortunate to have with us today the person now carrying the torch of leadership, Representative Shaun Scott, who succeeded Frank after his retirement in 2025. Representative Scott is here with us at the brunch, and we're honored by his presence, and we look forward to hearing from him later in today's program. So none of these accomplishments would be possible without the dedication of staff, volunteers, board members, donors, and partners. I'd like to ask all members of our board of directors to please stand so we can recognize you with a round of applause. Before I hand it back to Emma, I want to acknowledge that we have Angela Hult of the Kuni Foundation here with us today. We'll hear from her later in today's program. The Kuni Foundation has supported 4 Parkview projects, granting a total of $300,000. Thank you, and Emma?
Thank you, Mark. And hello, everyone. My name's Emma J. Honored to be here, emceeing the Parkview Services Fundraising Brunch for the 3rd year in a row. You're gonna hear this a lot today, and for good reason. I just wanna thank our board, our staff, and each and every one of you here today. I'm honored to be your MC. We've got a wonderful program ahead, and we're so glad each and every one of you is here to be a part of it. Let's get started with our first speaker. Our first speaker is Angela Hult of the Kuni Foundation. Angela and her team have been powerful partners to Parkview Services, helping us bring bold ideas to life. From the Gig Harbor Group Training Home to our Lake City Dadu pilot, to the limited equity co-op home ownership model, to Vibrant Pallets Capital expansion. Kuni has been right there with us, expanding housing and opportunity for people with IDDs in Washington. Please welcome Angela Hult.
Well, good morning. Thank you for that warm welcome. What an honor to be here. So our offices are in Vancouver, Washington. I live just outside of Portland, Oregon. So came up yesterday evening, and I can't tell you how lovely it is to be in this room with all of you. I attend a lot of events, and to me this feels like a family reunion in the very best way. So again, thank you again for such a warm welcome. I'm really honored to be here as we celebrate and support the vital work of Parkview Services. I'd like to begin by sharing a little bit about the Kuni Foundation and how our values and mission align so well with Parkview. The Kuni Foundation advances the power of human potential. We're based in Vancouver, Washington, as I mentioned, and we support scientists revolutionizing cancer research, and we expand inclusive opportunities for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, or IDD, as I will continue to say. Like Parkview Services, we were founded by a family whose journey with IDD shaped a lifelong vision for inclusion, stability, and community-based housing. Our founders, Wayne and Joan Kuni, were active and generous supporters of their community. Wayne was a successful entrepreneur known for his love of mentoring and helping people reach their potential, like Parkview. And Joan was a fierce and tireless advocate for people with IDD, again, like Parkview. 2 of their sons had IDD, and Wayne and Joan were pressured to institutionalize the boys when they were born. They refused, and Joan embarked on a lifelong mission to advance inclusion for people with IDD and to ensure that every opportunity, every possibility was open to them. When Wayne created the Kuni Foundation, he made it the largest shareholder of his company. He structured the entire enterprise for charitable benefit with the provision that the company be sold after his death. The impact has been significant, and since 2017, the foundation has awarded more than $86 million to organizations throughout Oregon and Washington. Oh, thank you. Well, there's more we need to do, right? Especially in today's environment. That equates to more than 130 grants for nonprofits like Parkview that support people with IDD through housing, employment, the arts, advocacy, and other programs that amplify inclusion. Like our founders, Parkview Services takes an entrepreneurial approach to serving the needs of people with IDD and develops creative and impactful solutions to ensure that people thrive. They're always asking, what's possible? And we love that question. We love it when people explore possibilities in service to community inclusion. You will never hear the word status quo uttered by this visionary group. That's why they're one of the largest and most impactful, affordable, inclusive housing and service providers in the state. The Kuni Foundation seeks out catalytic, innovative approaches, provides early stage funding, and leverages these approaches to accelerate broader public and systems level impact. Parkview Services brings these aspirations to life, and the projects we have funded at Parkview illustrate the depth and diversity of their transformational work. As you heard, we helped fund the expansion of the Vibrant Palette, Parkview's art studio, and I purchased a beautiful piece of art this morning, so it's available back in the corner if you haven't seen it. And we also supported the Gig Harbor Training Group Home, a vital resource for adults with IDD who lost their community placements. As I mentioned, Parkview is always testing possibilities, and we funded a project to explore housing ownership for people with IDD via a shared equity co-op model. This approach would help people with disabilities build long-term equity and housing stability, another fantastic example of how Parkview is constantly evolving in response to the needs and preferences of the people they serve. A recent effort helped support a pilot project for the construction of a DADU, I love saying that word, detached accessory dwelling unit for a gentleman named Eddie who was at risk of losing his long-term home. The DADU is located on property already owned by Parkview and allows Eddie to remain in his beloved neighborhood. And I love this project for so many reasons. Parkview worked tirelessly to develop a viable solution for Eddie. They all worked fearlessly through a range of obstacles, think permitting, zoning, and they made it happen. They asked, what's possible? And they made it happen. I had the chance to tour the DADU as it was under construction, and it's fantastic. And I learned earlier this week that Eddie is celebrating his 1-year anniversary in his home. I know. I was telling Zach, I was speaking in another event earlier this week, and I picked up his email about Eddie's 1-year anniversary, and I started crying before I had to speak, but those were happy tears. The Parkview team took on an impossible situation, and they made it possible. Parkview Services is the perfect example of the kind of organization we seek out, one that is constantly innovating and helps strengthen our community in so many profound and important ways. I'm going to share just a few words that describe Parkview and their approach. Sorry. Innovative, bold, tenacious, creative, compassionate, problem solvers. These are the kinds of attributes our community needs now more than ever to advance inclusion. We need to ensure that people with IDD have equal access to housing that meets their needs and preferences, and to employment, education, and community-based activities. Parkview Services has a nearly 60-year history, yet the organization is constantly evolving, constantly innovating to meet the needs and preferences of people with IDD. We're so proud to help support their important work. Together, we can rewrite the narrative around disability and inclusion, one that promises community, choice, opportunity, and dignity for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Angela. Next, we'll hear from Loretta Cael, Parkview's Director of Homeownership. Loretta leads our statewide efforts to guide families in purchasing homes and to support struggling homeowners. She's a tireless advocate, and her leadership is helping to create real, lasting stability for low and middle income families across Washington. Please join me in warmly welcoming Loretta.
Good morning. I'm not going to climb up on that little, for those of you that know. From the waist up, I'm perfect. The legs we're still working on. So, thank you for inviting me here today. The work that we do in homeownership supports every other aspect of what Parkview Services is known for. Because we create permanent, affordable, stable housing. And in that, there's choice. The people that use our program get to decide where they live, whether it's close to services, whether it's close to family, wherever it's affordable for them. The number one thing I say when I teach first-time homebuyer classes is it a payment you can afford? Is it in a place you want to live? And can you move in tomorrow? Then why aren't you owning it? We'll help you with everything else. We will teach you. We will work with you. We'll be your greatest advocate and your biggest cheerleader, but we won't do it for you. And it is absolutely amazing and life-changing to see what happens to families on the other side when they get those keys. It's the biggest joy of my life because every day I wake up and I think, why? Why are we doing this? The why is what we're creating, the stability. We don't create generational wealth through an asset. We create generational wealth through education. If somebody buys a house and loses it, what have you done to that family and the families that come? It's a negative, not a positive. And so we want to make sure that our families are receiving all the education and wraparound support. I like to call it soup to nuts. So we are there from when we help build their credit score, and everybody needs a credit score. Okay, I think it's discriminatory that people have to pay more for not having one. Credit doesn't equal debt. We teach that to people. Until you take that card out of your wallet, it's not hurting you. But how to use it responsibly to create credit that supports your ability to get credit at a fair market rate. And that's what we do. And then we introduce them to all the down payment assistance options that are available to them within the state. And then we make sure that they connect with a lender who knows what they're doing, who understands the programs these folks qualify for. We also offer a down payment assistance program, and this year we've been so fortunate. We are able to offer $100,000 for households that have a member with an intellectual or developmental disability. Typically, it's a single mom. You'd be amazed at how many single moms we work with children with disabilities. And we understand that if one or more of the parents have to step out of the workforce, how do you save, right? I can help you with everything else. I will educate you. I will help you build a credit score. But I can't help you save money you don't have. So that's where Parkview Services can step in and offer this additional assistance. As of yesterday, I'm going to share this story. I don't know how much time I have. There'll probably be a hook. I talk a lot because I love what I do. But as of yesterday, we have funded $1 million in down payment assistance loans this year. Thank you. And I want to tell you about the family from yesterday, okay? And we've worked hard with this family. These aren't people that just come walking in the door, right? They are usually referred by somebody. They have found us through someone. They have no idea where to start. And so these journeys can be long, but we're there for them the whole way. Like I said, soup to nuts, and I mean that in the kindest way because we do offer that wraparound. So I've got a single mom with a child with a disability, an adult child. With an adult child, the parent needs to be the guardian, because the person with the disability, if they're over 18 and they're receiving a $100,000 benefit, we want to make sure their name's on that title, right? That is the whole point. They'd never have to move. And so we helped her get the legal guardianship paperwork through, and she stuck with our program. We helped to bring her credit score up. She stuck with our program. She found a little house in Odessa, Washington. Telling you, there are pockets of opportunity out there, people. If you don't need to live next to your employer, there are pockets of opportunity. Odessa, Washington, Lincoln County, $200,000 sales price. The seller hung with us for 9 months so this family could buy this house. They closed yesterday. Their house payment is $951 because their mortgage is $109 because of what we were able to do with our $100,000 and all the education that way. With that, we were able to get them set up with an ABLE account, so they had the money for the earnest money put away in their ABLE account, and they closed and got the keys yesterday. I can't tell you what it was like to get that phone call at 4:30 last night. Yes. So, you guys have heard of the federal government, right? Okay. Although they appreciate what we do in housing counseling and home ownership, they don't want to fund us. We ask your support in this. We really need you. We can't do this without the community support in either creating programs our home buyers can work with or providing opportunities for us to increase our equipment. When we had to go virtual because of COVID, we can now counsel virtually. Guess what we have to do? We have to lock down our security. We collect information from people that could destroy their lives if it were exposed. It is our duty to protect that information, which requires a lot of IT, which is not inexpensive. So I will, and I'm not ashamed to ask for help. We need equipment. We need support for our staff. But we have a full-time housing counseling department that not only offers pre-purchase counseling, home buyer education, down payment assistance, but also mortgage default support. So death, divorce, and disability happen. And 30 years, people's lives don't stay the same. So if a family isn't able to pay the mortgage on their house, they meet with our counselors, and we negotiate with their loan servicer to reduce that payment to keep them in that house. And we'll even go to mediation with them. So I literally mean we are their partner for 30 years. So thank you for letting me speak today. Obviously, I'm passionate about this, but I believe in the why. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Loretta. You know, with big hearts come big emotions, and it's just so telling to see our first two speakers have some tears, because this is a powerful program. Speaking of powerful, our next speaker is Moussa Samb, Director of Lending Partnerships at Homesight and the newest member of Parkview's Board of Directors. Moussa has worked closely with Marc and Loretta to support first-time home buyers, and he's a key partner in the Black Home Initiative, advancing equity and access in housing. Please welcome Moussa Samb.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. My name is Moussa Samb, and I am with Homesight. I am the Director of Lending Partnership, and as she said, I am the newest board member of Parkview. And I am extremely grateful to be part of this organization because I've got the chance to work with Marc and Loretta and learn about Parkview. And this precedes me. Before I joined Homesight, Homesight was already working with Parkview. So I just jumped on the bandwagon and learned and got to see some of the great work that they're doing. But just want to talk a bit about Homesight, and a little I'll be talking about myself. So at Homesight, we are a nonprofit organization. We've been in business for over 32 years, and we work in economic development, real estate development, but also mortgage lending. As far as our program, the mortgage side is one of the biggest one because it's our bread and butter. So at Homesight, we pride ourselves in helping first-time homebuyers, those who are 80% and below AMI. We also help people who are slightly above that because sometimes they are not wealthy enough to get a home, but also they're not poor enough. So we call them those in the donut hole. We try to find ways to help. And this is the work that I'm very passionate with. I don't like the word cliche, but I am one of those. I was helped. I just want to take a second to recognize Miss Kim Toski right there. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I didn't know that she was going to be here, because if I knew, I would not be here. So back in 2010, I was a single dad working for a financial institution, for a bank. I've been in the banking industry for 20 years here in Washington State. But as a manager at the retail branch, when I was trying to get a home, I realized that it was very challenging. So I tried, use my bank, use other banks, didn't work, because my income wasn't high enough, even though I thought that I was making a lot of money. So then, through trial and errors, I landed on Kim's desk, and she said, we're gonna make this happen. So we had many sleepless nights, but at the end, at that time, I was going to school as well in evenings. She made it happen and gave me and my daughter a sense of stability, because we had a place where we would be there for the next many numbers of years that we want. But not only that, she was able to help me create equity, get some savings, and be able to get in the foot and realize the American dream. Because myself, I'm an immigrant. I came here from Senegal, West Africa. I came here for school, but after school, I decided to stay. So, long story, but I am here. Very grateful to be here in the US and doing some work, but still be connected to my homeland back there. So, Kim, thank you again. I am grateful to you for life. So is my daughter. So, just want to say thank you. So with home ownership, what's important is when I work at the bank, after the retail banking, once Kim helped me get through my home, I decided that let me try to be a loan originator, because this is extremely important. So when I work as a loan originator, I was in the affluent neighborhood of Queen Anne Hill, and folks there used to put 20%, sometimes even 50% down to buy their homes. And that also gave me another wake-up call. This was not me when I was ready to buy a home. So that's what prompted me to move to the nonprofit sector and join Homesight. And on Homesight, what we do is we help people like me when I was at that time, those who don't have down payment, who don't have rich families that can help them with that. And with Homesight, we have so many great programs, but yet many folks did not benefit from that because they didn't know about the program, or they just think that homeownership is not for them. And at Homesight, we had this joke saying that we're the best kept secret, and things like that should not be kept secret. So with that, Homesight worked with other partner organizations, Parkview, Habitat for Humanity, Homestead Community Land Trust, and then back in 2023, this movement came up, the Black Home Ownership Initiative, which is a great program. And it's a great network that helps people weave together and work together and try to bring resources to help folks. And Marc has been one of the great leaders of that. And I commend him for that. Thank you, Marc, for your leadership. So, with that program, we were able, like Marc said, to put what's called the Covenant Homeownership Act, thanks to Frank Chop and Representative Jamila Taylor and others. And with that program, Marc, I'm sorry, I'll have to correct you. We are right now at 750 home buyers. Yeah. We just had a meeting on Wednesday, the Affordable Home Ownership Group, and Dietrich just mentioned the new numbers. So we're very grateful on programs like that. And I think what you guys do at Parkview, just like Homesight, is extremely important. Let's please keep supporting this, support this organization, make sure that we can help those who never dreamed of owning a home, get a home, but especially those who are in homes, help them stay in those homes, because the preservation also is extremely important. It's not just buying, but we want to make sure that people that we put in homes stay in their homes. And that's why organizations like Parkview and Homesight provide home buyer education to help people about what it takes to become homeowners, but also how to maintain your home and how you stay in your home. And Loretta, thank you. Loretta and I have been together to many events and organizations. In fact, we went to Pullman. She got stuck in the elevator. Yeah. And I rescued her. Yeah. So this past weekend, I was in Spokane. I was just telling you, Joe. And it was the Habitat for Humanity Home Buyer Education Fair. And it was a great program attended. We need to be more in those, also in events like this, to talk to people about the need to help those who don't know how to get to the next step. I just want to say thank you again for Parkview to allow me to be part of their board. And before I joined, I studied this organization, saw Marc's leadership and Loretta's involvement and the things that they do in the community, but within the housing network, and know that this is a worthy organization, so I'm happy to be here. Thank you again.
Thank you, Moussa. Wow. Our next speaker is Representative Shaun Scott, who serves Washington's 43rd Legislative District, including Capitol Hill and Eastlake. Representative Scott has been a champion for housing and disability justice, and today he'll share thoughts on the importance of public advocacy as we face a challenging state budget year and the threat of federal cuts to disability benefits. Please welcome Representative Shaun Scott.
So I've been spending the last few minutes quietly freaking out, not sure if I was going to fit framed up in this, but it looks like if I stand up straight, I can make it. All right. Let's give a hand to our tech team. I see everybody, somebody's adjusting our sound levels, whoever set up the camera. My name is Shaun. I represent the 43rd Legislative District in the Washington State House of Representatives. Do we have anybody who lives perhaps in the 43rd here? My district includes Capitol Hill, Laurelhurst, downtown Seattle, the University District, go Huskies. Excellent. A lot of 43rd expatriates. It's a powerful community. It's been mentioned a couple of times. I did succeed Speaker Emeritus Frank Chop in the State House of Representatives. And if you knew anything about Frank, you probably knew a couple of things. Number one, he would have hated that we were spending so much time talking about him. And he was somebody who was very attention averse because he was, in the famous words of Marshawn Lynch, all about the action of the state legislature. And number two, you would also know that Frank was somebody who cared a lot about people with developmental disabilities, intellectual and developmental disabilities. He cared a lot about affordable housing, and he especially cared about where those issues intersect with one another. In the space of time that I had the opportunity to know Speaker Emeritus Chop, we bonded quite a lot over the fact that both of us have direct familial experience with people who have disabilities. A number of people in his family, I actually spent, before I ever got to the legislature or thought that I would run for it, spent close to 2 decades as a caretaker for my late sister, Nicole, who had cerebral palsy. So I know from firsthand experience just how important the work that is being done here, and the work that we're here to celebrate and support today. So let's give another round of applause for Parkview and everything that they're up to. When I was asked to speak at this event, I think some of the hope was that I would say a few words about why advocacy in the state legislature matters as much as it does. We experience politics, I think, through headlines about what's going on at the federal level, through social media clips of unfortunate events that are taking place not only here but across the globe. But really, the material impact, a place where we can have the most material impact really is in our state legislatures. State legislatures impact and fund everything from affordable housing to higher education, to social services, to disability services, to public schools. So many of the institutions that we care about, that we see are in a lot of ways under attack, we have the opportunity and the ability to positively impact those issues right here through state level advocacy. This was my first year in the state legislature. It was a hell of a year to join anything, much less the state legislature. And right as we took office, a week after that, my swearing-in day was on January the 13th. A week after that, the current president swore into office as well. And we had an immense problem on our hands, which is how is it that we were going to make sure that basic services, basic institutions, important institutions would remain funded and supported through the decisions that we made, knowing that they were probably going to be under an onslaught from the federal level. And what I saw as a state lawmaker is that the voices of people who are our constituents, all my constituents in Capitol Hill and Wallingford and Fremont, mattered quite a lot in making it so that people who are in Olympia, other politicians who are in Olympia, always remembered why it was that they were sent there. If you've ever spent a lot of time in the state legislature or around it, it kind of has the feel of a social experiment sometimes, and the experiment is how long does it take for people who are removed from their family or their immediate districts before they start to go crazy. And for some people it's a week, for other people it's 2 weeks, for some it's a month. But the constant reminders that we receive from our constituents, whether it was through letters that were sent, through phone calls, through emails, all help to remind all politicians and all state lawmakers about the stakes for the decisions that were made in Olympia. One of the bills that I was most proud to work on in this recent state legislative session was House Bill 1858. This is a bill that closed a loophole on the document recording fee. If anybody here has purchased a house or sold one, you know that the document recording fee is something that everyday people have to pay. Unfortunately, up until this year, large financial institutions did not pay that fee. So while you were paying it, Wells Fargo, Bank of America were not. And what I discovered was that creating $60 million worth of new affordable housing was as easy as drawing a line through an exemption that existed. And I was very happy to see that that resulted in $30 million worth of funding for low-income housing, people who are experiencing houselessness, another $30 million for the Covenant Homeownership account as well, which we know is helping a lot of people throughout our state. Advocacy-wise, one of the most important things that we can do is show up to legislative town halls, and I want to end on this point. In the middle of session last year, right as it was becoming clear that there were going to be a number of federal cuts to higher ed, to social services, to reproductive freedoms, we held in the 43rd Legislative District, as most lawmakers did, a mid-session town hall. And there were a number of groups that organized, a few labor unions, a few other groups that showed up, that got very rowdy, that brought signs, that interrupted us frequently when they didn't hear an answer that they particularly liked. And part of the reason why I thought that that was such a powerful example was because it directly played into the legislative priorities and outcomes that happened at the end of that session. One of the proposals that was being mulled this year was a furlough of public employees, an unpaid furlough of public employees. Well, members of public sector unions showed out in droves to this town hall to let all state lawmakers know that that was going to be an unacceptable policy decision. And as a result, it did not happen. This is one example of several others where people showing up and making as much noise as possible, whether it's in Olympia or in district when lawmakers come back, makes a huge difference. And I know that that is a message that falls on friendly ears here, as I see a lot of people that I know have been involved in a lot of different causes over the years. And we're really here today to celebrate and support one of the most important ones that we can think of. So it was an honor to be invited to speak here today, and know that as we fight to hold on to everything that we love about Washington State and our state, from higher education to public schools to affordable housing and disability services, you're going to have at least one lawmaker on the inside who's going to be showing solidarity and who's going to be right there in the fight with you. So thank you so much.
Representative Shaun Scott, everyone. Wow, thank you. Each year, we have the joyful event here at Parkview Services Fundraising Brunch to recognize a member of our community who embodies the spirit of inclusion, independence, and justice through the Community Spirit Award. This year, the honor of presenting the award goes to our colleague, friend, and Camp Parkview leader, Zach St. John. Please welcome Zach.
Hey, I'm Zach St. John. I do a lot of things here, one of which is run Camp Parkview, which I've done for 12 years. I love Camp Parkview. For the last 12 years, I've had the honor of getting together 67 adults with developmental disabilities, 40 volunteers, and 6 nurses. I work in a team of volunteer leadership to put this monstrous undertaking together. The minutia at play is everywhere. It really does take a village. The Community Spirit Award honors someone whose dedication and heart lift up the very best of Parkview's mission. Today, I'm proud to present this award to someone who is in every sense a family to Camp Parkview, Malia Alexander. Malia has been a part of camp for nearly 20 years. She started as a volunteer as a teen, stepped into the role of camp director before me, and today continues as one of our lead camp nurses, a member of our volunteer leadership team, and a guiding light for our program. Her dedication is unmatched. Malia has shown up for camp in ways that inspire us all. Once, the year before I took over as director, she came straight from the hospital after wrecking her scooter, bandaged and bruised because she could not miss camp. She's also been there 8 months pregnant, and now with a newborn in tow. What sets Malia apart is not just her presence, but her spirit. She has a thoughtful touch and an ability to see each of our 67 campers as whole people. She's creative, she's funny, and she's the person I turn to as a confidant when navigating the many nuances of camp. Medical needs, behavioral challenges, unique family situations. She brings new and inspiring counselors to camp every year, expanding our circle of care and joy so we can provide the magic of camp for decades more to come. That's only part of who she is. While helping us run camp, Malia plays in punk bands, earned her degree as a psychiatric nurse practitioner, works in community health in downtown Seattle, has worked at the King County Jail in private practice, and now also teaches at Seattle University. She's lived abroad, been married, started a family, and somehow manages to maintain friendships and community with more people than I could ever count. Yet every summer, there she is, sitting down with me for months before we ever board a ferry to Vashon Island, ready to make camp happen again. We make careful decisions about who goes into what cabin, who's a good fit for the program, and how to safely pass over 1,500 individual pills over 5 days. No small feat. This is what makes people really special. In a world full of people trying to make a difference, Malia stands in the rare and elite group of people who don't just talk about change, but live it. Walking the walk, creating the world she wants to see become possible. With a constant eye towards justice and inclusion, she believes in the change that we need. She believes in a world where people with IDDs are not just visible, but they're our friends, they're our family members, and they're our community. Malia is a camp lifer and a true family member to us all. She's a gem. I cannot imagine a world in which Camp Parkview is the magical and impactful place that it is without the energy and community spirit that Malia brings to our program. It's my honor to present, hold on. It's an honor to present the 4th annual Parkview Services Community Spirit Award to my dear friend, Malia Alexander. And I think Malia is going to say something.
That was very touching, Zach, and very sweet. I'm just really honored, and a lot of you know, as Zach said, I found camp when I was just like a kiddo in my teenage years, and the work that Parkview does, the community that I've been welcomed into at Parkview has really fundamentally shaped who I am and the choices that I've made, and I'm just so, so grateful. And having a little one growing up in this world, I hope that we can continue to create communities that I can feel good about him inheriting. So, thank you.
Thank you, Zach, and congratulations, Malia. We are so lucky to have you. Amazing. All right, if your heart is full or overflowing, say yes. Yes. I'm sorry, what's that? Yes. So glad to hear it. What we've heard this morning is powerful. Parkview is building a future rooted in stability, opportunity, and community, like we have right here. We are funded for new affordable housing in Seattle and Thurston County. We've expanded Vibrant Palette Arts Center into a thriving creative hub. We've strengthened supported living services so more adults with IDDs can live independently. And we've created real pathways to home ownership for families across Washington. But the truth is, much of the funding is restricted. It doesn't cover day-to-day operations, staffing, and flexibility needed to keep the current programs thriving. That's where you come in. Today, we're asking for your support. A contribution of $150 is considered the minimum we need to reach our goal. But we're happy to say, with Parkview's hard work, incredible sponsors, we have already raised $29,000. That's right. But we can't stop there. The work we do is far too important. Our goal is $40,000. If you're able to give $150, $200, maybe more, $500, $65,000. You could just leave the bundle of cash right on the center of the table, and we'll come by and pick it up. On your table, you'll see a tent card with a QR code sticker. Less impressive than a pile of cash, but we use what we have, right? That sticker is your link to give today. So hold up those table tents for me. Let's show them off. Everybody have one? Perfect. So just scan that with your phone to make your gift. If you prefer, you can also write your name and phone number on the envelope at your table, and a staff member will follow up to help you complete your contribution. Every dollar you give stays right here, sustaining the work that you've heard about today. With your support, we can keep building homes, strengthening programs, and ensuring that every person has the stability, opportunity, and loving community that they deserve. Thank you so much for being a part of this mission and for helping us carry it forward. Did everyone have a good time today? Right. Well, now's the time to give, so check out that QR code, get an envelope. Thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts for being here today. Thank you.